Welcome to the World Movers Podcast. I am your host, DJ Angel Fire, with my two co-hosts, 51st Citizen and Kwaku Amp. Kwaku has returned from his stint at Rutgers, and he's very happy to be back here in the podcast. And we also have a guest that we're gonna talk a little bit more with him in the second half about his music, Bitmap, aka Bitmap 313. Would you like to just briefly introduce yourself?
I'm Tyler, just usually go by Bitmap, and I make electronic music. I guess people like to say it kind of has like an old school vibe, and that definitely is a big influence on me. And then I also work with my friend Drip133 and a few other people, and we run a clothing company called Crime Gene.
Nice.
Thank you.
So, Kwaku, tell us what's been going on with you, man. Give us the full story, give us the full lore, and everything.
Oh yeah, it's been, quite the time at Rutgers. I left 4 months ago, and since then I've met a lot of people. I've spent nearly 99% of my time on campus. It's really large, buses aren't that great, but still beautiful buildings. The food's not that bad, and I got to share some people's music, so it was pretty cool.
You also spoken about previously to me the isolation that one feels in the college campus. How was that like adjusting?
Yeah. Well, it was very weird because I'm double majoring in CS and bio. So most of my time was spent like studying. I would run into, moments where it's like I've studied all night and I have to sleep pretty much the next day, the whole entire day for the most, I guess, well into the afternoon. And by the time I wake up, it's already dark outside. So it really just fucks up with, your circadian rhythm. Also, just being in that contained environment of a university, pretty much school's 24/7. You can choose what to do with your time. You may tend to study too much, or you may tend to, you probably don't study that much at all as well. So it's just trying to find the right balance. And also the campus itself, how it's built. It's very interconnected for Rutgers, New Brunswick, where I go to. You have Douglas and Cook campus, you have College Ave, you have Livingston and Bush. And that's just at one of the Rutgers, that's Rutgers, New Brunswick. So there's 4 campuses. And, it's in Piscataway, New Jersey. And it's just this huge, you might as well call it a city that's like, I want to say locked off, blocked off to the outside world. So you're pretty much just living there the whole entire time. And to leave after 4 months, it's just pretty. It feels kind of weird, like, oh man, I haven't been outside the campus for a while or the college for a while, and then it finally hits you, like, oh shit, I've been here for 4 months.
You said you're double majoring in bio and computer science, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can we expect like some GOE bloodstream nanobots live stream from the
yes.
bloodstream type action in the near future?
We're gonna get so GOE Technology is working on this. We're gonna get what is it? Bluetooth. What was that joke? Sperm pods or some shit. So I had this wacky like idea. My friends and I were just like throwing around for shits and giggles, and it was like this Tinder-based app where people can find like, surrogate mothers and like sperm donors, and they can buy it, and then they'll send in like these little pods or some shit, and you can use like a Bluetooth type authenticator to release the. It's just weird to say it out loud.
Yeah.
It's just the conversation was more humorous than I'm portraying it right now. It's just, it sounds odd. But then, when I mentioned it over there, because this was a joke that I made in my town. So I carried it over to Rutgers. Then some people actually started to take it serious. So if that actually happens, I will, and if I'm not involved and I'm not getting money, I'll be very,
Very unhappy.
disappointed. But it would be weird if that happens,
Yeah, I mean, after the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing where it came out that he was like getting some Harvard students to try to bioengineer him like a race of superhumans with his own DNA.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be careful you don't end up a henchman for some weirdo who's going to try to, use this technology to breed the perfect man.
Oh yeah, seriously, it's.
Or maybe you want to be sure to get involved with that. I don't know. I won't stop you.
No, I mean it's strange because well, with my RA, we had a open debate. He does political science, and we were talking about the use of CRISPR and whether it will be beneficial. And he's completely against it for reasons such as designer babies, and how the wealthy, the elite, I guess you can say, of our society would be the ones who would have specific traits, maximum intelligence and stuff like that. And he's just generally opposed to it. But it's using this type of technology for good. Anything could be used for bad or whatever.
Yeah.
You said you were double majoring on. I wanted to know about like more of what kind of things you studied, like really in depth. What spoke to you when you were at school?
So right now I'm in the intro to CS. Oh, I just finished the semester, and we were just learning Java, and I think we ended on recursions. So we did this little cool project. Well, we had two projects. The first one was Sierpinski's triangle, where you have a triangle and you use a library to print like smaller triangles into each segment of another triangle, if that makes any sense. And it gradually makes this pattern. Also in bio, it's just, just I guess the normal stuff, nothing pretty outrageous or, taxing, I guess you could say. I didn't do any labs yet. I will be doing my lab next semester. So I'm kind of looking forward to that.
So
Nice,
you said more about this triangle. That's. Oh, okay. Here we go.
Yeah, these things are pretty sick.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult to do.
Mm. You should
I
get
don't wanna
really
say-
into it and be one of those like YouTubers that does like 40-hour Mandelbrot Zoom type videos.
I love those videos.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
ones that are like 3D. Those ones are crazy. Like they're
Yeah.
ridiculous, but they're also really entertaining to watch.
I always just think about how long it takes to render those videos.
Yeah,
Oh, man, you
every
have to
time
have
I
a good
see those,
PC
I'm
for
like,
that.
yeah, how did they do this?
So what are these things exactly? They're like fractals, or
Yeah, they're fractals. So we didn't
Uh-huh.
work on this one. We worked on Sierpinski's triangle, but you have Sierpinski's carpet. You can also do the fractal tree. We didn't do that. You can get some unique patterns depending on your inputs.
there's also an aspect that we have yet to tell Bitmap about, which is your alter ego that kind of has its
yeah.
own lore. Goey, would you like to explain that for Bitmap and the viewers at home who might not be familiar?
I don't even know where Goey started. He's such a weird figure, I don't even know when this guy started. So Goey, my alter ego. So it started, I want to say maybe middle school, or maybe went by a different name. But when I got into high school, that name was, I guess, introduced to me. I was, like when someone throws a paper ball or some trash into the garbage, they would say Kobe or something like that. Well, somebody thought I
Yeah.
said Goey. And I was like, no, I didn't say that. So they're like, oh, Goey, Goey. And it was kind of like a mocking thing. But then over time, I was like, oh, that's a pretty cool name. I like it. One of my monikers, Yummy VHS, has a pretty, I guess, unique story behind it. I'll just talk about that briefly. So when I was younger, we had these VHS tapes, and I remember that I used to bite them for some reason. So, that just came to my head. So back to the Goey thing. So Goey lore, most of it is just like, irony and probably shit posting because the Goey technology and Goey lifestyle. I want to say that I've based most of the lore on Wi-Fi money type stuff. If you guys
Well,
know what it is, did we talk about Wi-Fi money before? On
not talked about Wi-Fi money. You
Oh,
gotta
man.
get us up to speed on that.
Dude, so many stories. Yeah. So
Man,
in my town,
developing a real labyrinth here.
there's this person. He was into like this, the e-commerce type lifestyle, and Alibaba shipping stuff to people's houses, and I'm going to be the next
Alibaba
billionaire
intelligence.
in yeah, I'm going to be the next billionaire in like 12 years type mentality. So he was actually successful, but in his ventures, I should say, he scammed quite a lot of people with fake earpods from China that were, I guess, $2, but he marked it to 60, and then he put it on sale to like $50 or some shit like that. He put out a lot of advertisements on Instagram, and his business that he was, developing called Tech Shark were essentially they were automating this process. So he got a cease and desist letter from Apple, and he scammed some people in our town. People started to hate him, but a lot of people admired him. Then he started selling courses on stocks, like he knew anything about that, or
Of course.
yeah. And then he was going to California, and just this weird lifestyle for someone, mind you, who's like 16 or 17, saying how
Wow.
college sucks. And I mean, I guess college is, I'm not going to be the guy that bashes college. I really don't like the lifestyle that much. But, it's such a cliche thing for these new age and like business dudes saying, oh, you don't need to go to college, bro. You can just start a business. It's like easier said than done.
Did the man who invented college go to college?
That's true, did he? I don't know. So the whole Goey type technology, or Goey's rising in 2020, or Goey's invest in Kazakhstan, Goey type stuff. It's just modeled off of that, e-commerce type shit posting.
So at this time, I'd just like to very quickly introduce my friend Sacral Thrash. At Sacral Thrash on Instagram, he's gonna hop in and say a few words before he has to scoot.
Thank you, homie, for introducing me. I really have nothing to say. I'm just some guy. I'm just someone who uses social media. I'm just driving to a party right now, and you reminded me about the podcast, so I plugged in. And
Gotcha.
I've heard that Goey premiums are at an all-time high right now.
Oh man, Goey lifestyle, dude. Invest in Goey.
Highly speculative market, expecting wild returns. They're on 4x now.
4x, yeah. Goey coin.
Yeah, we need the we need the coin. We need the coin to invest in online universities. Headquartered in New Jersey.
All over the world, man. In Antarctica.
You're right. First accredited college in Antarctica.
Mostly in Antarctica.
The French and Southern Arctic Islands, bro. That's where we're based.
Can you link me to any Goey web presence?
I mean, just Instagram. Literally, it's Goeyy. So to get that username, I had to go through, quite a bit of trouble. It was originally, the username belonged to a Korean lady, and I messaged her. I was like, "May I have this username?" At first, she said no, and then I replied with a frowny face, and then like 10 minutes later, she said, "You can have it." And I was like, "Oh, this is dope." I got this dope username that nobody will ever have. Probably.
Way to guilt her into it.
Yeah.
Just a frowny face, It's like, yeah.
Took very little convincing.
Yeah, so, Goey movement, Goey lifestyle, Goey shoes, Goey everything. Goey cult, That's the goal, That's the goal, is to create the Goey cult. Then I can get this, political presence, and maybe take over the French and Southern Arctic Islands.
Yeah.
Dope.
Okay, I can dig it.
I feel compelled to post a design I did for Kwaku.
Oh yeah, the adrenochrome.
Hey,
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
those like ones and zeros that kind of fade into the background and all that, like, you know, that sort of look like it's made out of data or that sort of thing reminded me of something that I hadn't thought about in years. And then I thought about it again today because I saw a screenshot from it. There was this show on Animal Planet, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was like a top 10 show, and they would count down like top 10 weird animals in a certain category.
oh yeah.
And they'd show a little bit of like live real footage taken of the animal, and then they'd have these parts where they're like, you know, showing something, and it all took place in this green, like sort of weird ethereal cyberspacey realm, and that had a really strong effect on how I thought about things for a long time. I'm gonna try and see if I can find like a clip or a screenshot that will illustrate this.
That sounds like pretty out there for the Animal Planet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was really that bizarre or if it was just my young brain processing it, but man, just looking at this stuff, I've got the feeling of, man, it's crazy. So here's the one. It was called The Most Extreme was the name of
Yeah.
the program.
Number 10.
I like that, you know, Matrix. I feel like a lot of media in like the mid 2000s was like riffing on the Matrix design.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you. I've never actually seen The Matrix all the way through. Like, I've absorbed enough cultural
Wow. Podcast
references
is
about
over
it that I.
until you watch.
Why are you in this
Sorry.
chat, bro?
You gotta get
I've
on that.
absorbed
Get outta
enough
here.
cultural references about it that I feel like I know
Bro,
all I
take
need to
the
know
red
about
pill,
it. But
man.
if I like,
Nah.
maybe I'll watch
Nah,
it
but you
and
gotta
I'll
see-
see,
nah,
and
you-
I'll
but you
really
gotta
like
see it.
be like, damn, that's where everything comes from.
Dude,
That's
it's
how I
ridiculous
felt
for
for a
that,
really
bro.
long time.
It's like everyone thinks they know Jaws, and then when people first see it, they're blown away by like how crazy it actually is. That's how it is with the Matrix too. Like you just can't believe all this stuff is in one movie. It's important to see the whole trilogy too. I mean, like the rave and the cave underground, like that's so many aesthetic things like happening at once. I can't even like comprehend it.
Is watch all those Matrix movies, go back and educate myself.
It's definitely like an text, like a foundational document. But yeah, I gotta go. It was good. It was good. It was good phoning in here for a bit. I'm gonna put Goey in my portfolio.
Yeah, bro.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
What is real quick? What exactly is adrenochrome? I see the name here. I don't know what the project is though.
Adrenochrome, it's like oxidized adrenaline, right? Apparently, the whole myth behind it, or I guess the lore behind it, is that elites, you know, would take people, torture them, and then take their adrenalized blood and drink it to live forever. Something like that.
I've heard this. Yeah, that's why they sacrifice babies.
Yeah.
And they drink it.
yeah,
Yeah, common knowledge stuff. Well,
yeah.
thank you. I'll get on the pre-sale.
All right.
See ya, man.
Have a nice time, bro.
Easy.
Also to mention with this is how Kwaku got into this with Daylight.
Oh, Daylight. Daylight, dude, like I don't even know if he's joking sometimes. Sometimes, you know, I can dig his message. But he has this thing where he memes up, says something serious, then memes up. And then other times he just
Yeah.
straight up just curses people out. And you know, he has some wacky ideas. But yeah, cool guy. You know, I really like his music. Especially the song Adrenochrome. You know, that thing went hard.
Yeah, or the song Monster he did under the Bradley Campbell
Oh my
moniker.
god. I think
And
the
video
Bradley
is
character.
just him in white face paint with his blonde wig prancing around.
Everything I do, everything I see has made me a monster. It's so like, I remember the first time I saw that, it was in my recommended. I was like, what is this? You know? Um, I knew about Daylight from the what's it called? The rap battles he used to do, but I never actively
Mm.
sat there and watched it, at least to its entire length. I remember I kept getting one of his live videos, whether he was doing it on Facebook, Instagram, or wherever. It was being recommended to me, and then I started to see the Bradley stuff. Apparently, he worked with Drake, and he actually wrote some stuff for Drake.
Really?
I'm not really knowledgeable about their fallout, but I know that Drake pays Daylight royalties. But I never actually really looked into what happened.
Here's a conspiracy theory. What if Drake is like sending inappropriate messages to Millie Bobby Brown strictly to get back at Daylight because he is notorious for not liking elite pedophiles. So just to stick it to him, he became an elite pedophile.
That's a hot take. I don't know, man. That's a it's a
a
flaming
little out
take.
there.
But
Hey, listen,
but
I'm not gonna I'm gonna leave it there and let the people decide.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it is kind of strange, how Drake does that, but rich people can do whatever they want, I guess. But yeah,
Seems to be the
going
case.
back to talking about Rutgers, there's a lot of cool places, a lot of places to discover on my campus, Douglas campus. There's this abandoned bowling alley, and it's really hard to get into. And there's like this underground mine. I'm not gonna go through that because I saw what
Oh,
was it,
nice.
catacombs or some shit. So I don't want to like find some weird monster dudes down there, or
Mm.
just die. They can find me 10 years later. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Large campus, great place.
Anyway, you told me yesterday about your interesting experience with Uber Eats. How things aren't always what they seem on Uber Eats.
Yeah, I mean, and especially the area. I guess New Brunswick has some weird characters. So I order stuff from Uber Eats quite a lot because I get hungry, and they don't always leave the dining hall takeout open, especially on Fridays, Saturdays. So I order something from. Sometimes I order something from Uber Eats, and it will say like Ashley's coming, in a red Honda Civic or something like that, and then I'll get this old dude Eduardo, and maybe he's on his bike, or maybe it's the other way around. Uh, and it has made me very suspicious of accepting the food sometimes because it's like, if you lie about who you are on this app to deliver my food, should I really be taking the food? I remember one time I accepted, I got the food, and as I was walking in, the dude was just staring at me like hardcore, and I was like, I can't eat this. I'm just gonna like, put it down or something. I just left it there.
Waiting for you to take a
It
bite.
was, I don't want to get some cyanide in my food and then,
That's scary.
die or some shit. Um,
Yeah.
I remember one time we ordered from Are You Hungry? It's like the campus, food delivery dudes.
Are
I'm with
you
my roommate.
hungry?
We go to retrieve our food, and I guess I have this habit of saying keep the change. So I think it was a $40 order, and I paid like $40, and I had a couple cents. So I just handed it to him. And I said, "Keep the change." And as I was turning around, I guess he got angry, and he said, "It's 12 midnight and it's cold. Can you at least give me a proper tip?" And at first, I didn't hear it because he had like this thick, I guess like Slavic accent. So I was like,
Sure.
"Okay," and I just walked in and left. And then I was like, "Wait, he was asking for a proper tip." I was like, "Oh, whatever, bro. Sorry, man. I don't. I'm a college kid. I don't have that much money, bro." And then we have some other weird things going on. People shouldn't conduct illegal activity on an iPhone or just any phone in general. It's not going to work out well. We have there's this group chat. It was originally, I guess, for parties or whatever, and then you have people, drug dealers, coming into it, and people fighting each other. And you have like chemistry and bio majors talking about who has the best strand of this and that, and what this drug does for you when you're supposed to study. It's so weird. So there's a lot of things going on.
At Rutgers, you also
pretty wild.
Okay, thanks for
at
reminding me
Rutgers,
about that.
you
That
also
was just
you
out
also
of
have this
hand.
legend about the Rutgers
So
lobster.
we had King Neptune night. I think it was September 28th or 24th. And a lot of seafood, and it was pretty much all over Rutgers University, New Brunswick. Each of the campuses, they had their own little Neptune night thing. Then some people started to take the lobster out of the dining hall, maybe sneak it in their pockets or like their bags or something, and they would put it on various trees, and then eventually it became a form of idol worship. Everybody was making, their way to College Ave to see the tree next to Scott Hall and bless themselves with the grace of Sir Snip. And it got, so large, so crazy that the Daily Targum reported on it. That's our campus newspaper. And then it went into the New York Times. So I was like, all right, this has gone out of hand, a bit. We also had a couple coyote attacks, and they killed the coyote. Honestly, the people who got bit by the coyote, or at least one of them actually, probably deserved it. I'm not gonna lie. They woke up 4 a.m. in the morning and they went into the woods looking for the coyote or something like that. Just strange. And what else? What else happened? Oh, we had the Hong Kong and international Chinese students, their little, I guess, squabble. Some Hong Kong protesters came to deliver a speech on my campus, Douglas campus, and some international Chinese students weren't very pleased. And then there was like this whole argument, and they were laughing at people getting beat and stuff like that. And our newspaper, our university newspaper, the Daily Targum, kind of misreported it, and there was a whole expose on our university's subreddit, our Rutgers.
Does that mean this podcast is gonna get censored now?
I mean, I don't know, man. Let's see what happens.
Oh no. Get redacted.
Roll of the dice.
Redacted statements. They'll just like cut out a long segment and play like classical music.
Play elevator music.
Yeah. There's a lot of things going on that it's hard to keep track sometimes. So the second week I was there, I was walking down from Scott Hall on College Ave, going to the Hello Guys after I think it was my computer science lecture. And there were some I guess Christian preachers, if you can remember, what was it called? What was that church? Remember that church that was like, it was saying a bunch of offensive stuff? Yeah, it was like some Westboro Baptist like type thing. And they had signs, and they were like saying a lot of rude things, right?
Sure.
So I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting. And I'm this college guy. I'm like, I want to see what's going on. So I'm a bit too curious. And they're like yelling at these students. So I actually go up and I talk to one of the dudes there, and he's like telling me about his faith. And he's, despite what he was saying, it, I don't want to say he's a good person, because what he was saying was pretty like, rude, and he had the intention of provoking people. But you can tell that he just wanted, I guess, in his view, the best for people, or whatever it was called. But he was just a bit too preachy, way too preachy, and a bit rude. So as I was talking to him, there's like this buff dude, and he's just walking around with this camera. He's like, "Oh, you don't believe in the Bible, bro? Come on, bro." At first, I thought he was being ironic, like, "Oh yeah," but no, he wasn't, and it got very uncomfortable. It was like, "What the hell are you doing, bro?" And then they were putting the camera in my face. So if I'm on YouTube somewhere, like atheist gets destroyed or something like that, I wasn't really making those edgy arguments too. I was just asking what's going on. The dude's like, oh man, all those Mormons and everyone, they're the lie, and we're the truth, King James Bible, and it was like,
Oh no! Oh no!
yeah, but
KJV, baby.
yeah,
Since you've been away at Rutgers, we've had a lot of developments in the music scene, particularly with Drain Gang, and
oh yeah. I listened to the Thai Boy digital album, but I haven't listened to any of like Blade stuff or Ecos.
what did you think of Thai Boy Digital's album?
It was pretty dope. Liked it. Still waiting for the Fantana review to change my opinion. So a lot of stuff
Yeah.
happened in music, though. Yeah, it's so weird because I'm not necessarily updated on everything. I'm just hearing about the whole 6ix9ine thing, and the Juice World news was like wild. It just
Yeah.
happened out of nowhere. I think I was laying in bed the morning it happened, and then somebody in a group chat said, Juice World's dead. And I thought it was a meme, because like a lot of people would
Yeah.
post
sure.
some stupid shit in the chat. And then I check it out, I'm like, holy crap, it says like 10 minutes ago, Juice World dead from seizure, and it's crazy, a lot of stuff happens in music. A lot of stuff, tragic things seem to happen in music towards the end of the year.
I see. So they think it was possibly a opioid overdose.
Oh yeah, was it like he was the pilot of his private jet informed the police that he was coming in with 70 pounds of marijuana and handguns, and he had like Percocets, and apparently the cops are about to check the plane and he swallowed the Percocets. I think that's what people are saying. I don't know if that happened. Maybe it did, but the autopsy, I guess, is still being refined. But it does speak to the current, I guess you can say, rap culture or whatever this hodgepodge of genres is. Now rappers are like, okay, we can't, we got to stop doing this drug stuff, this talking about it, or not talking about it, but making it seem as if it's cool to consistently be on these types of drugs. But I question if anyone's really serious about this. I don't think it's really going to change all that much.
Yeah. I mean, after I'm trying to think when it was that Lil Pump started posting some videos, and he was like, no more lean or something like that. And,
Oh yeah.
It was after some sort of like, I think it was after Lil Peep died, and it was sort of a response to that. Or
well, Lil
it was
Peep's situation though was just
Yeah, I mean,
very disgusting because everyone
Yeah.
around him, what was it, Fat Nick, giving him drugs on his birthday, and
Yeah.
Lexi Swan, right? I'm not gonna say
Maybe,
that
I'm not
he's
sure.
responsible for anything, but yeah, he's not. I'm not gonna blame him for anything, but nobody falls asleep like that in when he was recording what's his name, Lil Peep, while he was in the trailer. I don't think anyone sleeps like that. So I'm not going to say like he should have noticed right away, but it's like,
Yeah.
you should be telling your friend not to be taking copious amount of drugs. Yeah, it's odd.
Yeah. It's very strange. But yeah, shortly after, I think it was that incident, Lil Peep started, not Lil Peep, Lil Pump, started putting out videos, and he was like, oh, no more lean, done with this stuff, we gotta, all that sort of thing. And then, of course, that was a complete lie, and, it took him not even a month to completely, not even just reverse it, but just ignore that he had ever said it. And, I don't know. It's hard to trust anything these people say. And by these people, I guess, I mean, these up and coming rappers, because it's like, what do they stand for? It's really hard to
Partially,
say.
you gotta
Like
admit the labels.
consuming prescription anxiety medication.
Yeah.
is like one of their defining. I don't know. It's just so bizarre. Like it's really hard to pinpoint what the hell is going on with it. I don't understand it. I thought I had them psychologically pinned down for a while, but every time some new development occurs, I just realize how little I understand about what's going on.
I think it takes particular characters to get into these roles.
Yeah.
And, some of these people are signed to labels that actively promote this type of behavior. And then
For
they'll,
sure.
they'll cry and be like, oh, well, rest in peace. This is a shame. But you kind of promote this type of behavior, do you not? I
Yeah,
don't want to be the
it's
guy that's
kind of
like the music is
disgusting.
causing the problem in our youth. But I don't know, man. All I gotta say is I don't know. This is just pretty wacky. This whole situation, and everyone all of a sudden going from glorifying, drug use to hey, we hate it, bro. But we hate it in every single way, shape, and form. But then Trippie Red's like, but I'll still rap about it, but I don't do it. It's like, yeah, okay, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
And in a way, that's artistic freedom. But it's just I think the way they're going about it is, they're trying to say it's damaging the culture or whatever it is, whatever culture it is, it's
Yeah.
damaging the culture, and I'm actively participating it. And I just don't know how to distance myself away from it. I think that's their mental set, and they can't
Yeah.
really get out of that type of loop.
Yeah, for sure. Especially a guy like Trippie Redd who, tries to distance himself from it. And, you do have that excuse of artistic freedom, but at the same time, if you have your artistic freedom and you really truly have distanced yourself from something in your personal life, then why do you feel the need to keep singing about it? Not every now and then, but like literally in every song. And, yeah,
Oh
it just
yeah.
makes you question, like, there's something weird going on behind the scenes. And it's not just weird in that people are lying, because people lie all the time, but just like why these lyrical themes are so consistent. Like one of the first things when all this like SoundCloud rap started, not all of it, but like some of the newer wave, like 2017, and started really blowing up. And you had guys like Lil Pump and XXX Tentacion were big news. You know, uh, it was like it was a really fresh and interesting sound to some degree, and I thought it was pretty cool. But I couldn't get over the fact that like the lyrics, it wasn't that they were dumb, it was that they were somewhat disturbingly always focused on the exact same very specific things,
It's a
which is
formula,
taking
like
prescription anxiety medication and some like miscellaneous gangster rap type motifs, but with like weird wordplay that didn't quite make as much sense as a lot of older rappers. But
oh
I
yeah.
don't know, it's just, and I was thinking like, maybe there's going to be some guy who's going to come along and he's going to take this sound and style and he's going to really elevate it to the form of something interesting and truly something that we'll remember in the future, and it'll be like looked back on as a classic, because he's going to take some different lyrical themes with some nuance and look at it in that way. And it's just amazing how much they can stick to the exact same lyrical formula. I don't know. I don't want to sound like some sort of guy who's like, oh, all the songs are just about drugs and sex and money. But they really are. And it's always the same drugs and the same kind of sex and the same kind of money.
Never talk about missionary, bro.
Yeah,
But
when are
yeah,
we
it's
gonna
a formula that that works. I guess they tested it once with a couple of rappers. They became successful. And now everybody's copying the model of success, and it's making this genre a bit stale. So going into 2020, I don't know what's going to be next for what's the next offshoot of trap or emo rap or whatever it's called right now. But maybe 2020 is a bit too early to see things manifest.
Yeah. We'll see how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, I heard Goey Pop is coming up though. I don't know. Shit's crazy.
I forgot to inform you guys, sadly, that Big Bird's also been doing perks.
What?
Yeah, take a look.
I can't stand for this, bro.
Like the actor for Big Bird, or are we
I
talking
just
about something
posted the
else?
picture in the chat.
Yeah. it's just a derpy Big Bird.
Bro, I believed you for
costume.
a second, man.
He's lost a lot of weight. I'm very concerned for his health, but
Damn.
I think he'll bounce back when he goes to celebrity rehab.
Everybody, send your thoughts and prayers to Big Bird and the rest of the Sesame Street family out there.
Bro, I'm gonna make
Yeah.
an app called Thoughts and Prayers. Okay, and you can send your thoughts and prayers to people. And just a little message. Oh, I'm so sorry. Dot. You know, whatever.
That reminds me of that meme. That I'm not at capacity. I'm at my emotional capacity right now.
Oh,
I don't think
man.
I've seen that one.
I honestly don't know the origin of that. Like, I'm familiar with it, but I don't know like where it came from.
Better hope
Imagine
you
a
like.
better world where we all talk like robots, essentially. I mean, on the one hand, I think it's intended to be more straightforward, but it's also a paragraph of text for something that could probably be said in 4 or 5 words.
Sorry, but I'm at my. Okay, me as a therapist. So how are you doing this week, patient? Well, it's been rough. Sorry, but I'm at capacity, and this is a lot of emotional labor right now. Damn.
Man.
Actually, social workers have a lot of stress too.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah, I would believe
Definitely.
What's crazy is I saw this video. It was from a Canadian network. They were talking about just how many people have like fake degrees, and
Couldn't be
like,
me.
yeah, no, heaven forbid. Basically, they track down this therapist, and turns out, here he is, like a counselor. He's been working for like 10 years, maybe, and he has a fake degree, and I'm like, holy shit.
How do you manage to keep that a secret for so long?
I know. That's what I was thinking. It's clearly obvious in the video that this guy is a therapist, is just giving the most ridiculous advice. It's hard for me to even explain it, but it's so cringeworthy. He gives a bunch of these like metaphors. Oh yeah, you know how like your fingers are all different lengths? Well, that's life. Life is full of inequalities. And it's like, yep, that's your marriage counseling. That'll be a copay for me. Thank you very much.
Wasn't there also that dude? He was like a teenager or something who somehow became a doctor or faked his way into becoming a doctor, and then he got caught, of course, but he was running his own practice. We let him go the first time, but gotta get him the second time. This is 2016. I'm pretty sure he was arrested again after getting arrested again. What is it?
Oh man, that's crazy.
Love Robinson, the 19-year-old
Love Robinson. That's such a sick name.
Yeah,
especially for a fake doctor.
Love Doctor.
Malachi
Dr.
Love
Love.
Robinson tried to get an elderly woman to buy him a Jaguar. Well, I think that's a reasonable request.
Yeah, you gotta support your content creators and your doctor. Yeah, but that's ridiculous, because he was doing it for like a couple months. So I don't know how he was able to, get the building and everything. Very weird. Or how, he was even hired to do this type of stuff.
Yeah, it's always crazy how in the modern world we assume that, the structures we've put into place are pretty solid and that it would take a lot of difficulty to actually get through them. And then every now and again, you get some crazy instance where somebody just for a little bit slips through the cracks, like that guy who ran across the White House lawn and came in the front door and was then tackled by
Wasn't it like for
Secret Service.
Pokemon Go or something?
I don't think so. I think the guy was actually trying to kill himself because he expected, like, surely, some lasers will gun me down as I approach the door or something.
5G.
Nah, he got like halfway through the hallway.
That's very bad.
Oh,
But it's like the perception, oh, they think, we're guarded, so we can like not do it,
Yeah, calling their
So we're
bluff.
slacking.
We're gonna take a quick 10-minute break, and then when we come back, we'll pick it up with Bitmap. Does that sound like a plan here?
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Ready for this? Let the bass kick. Give me something to dance to.
Welcome to the World Movers Podcast. I'm your host, DJ Angel Fire, with my co-hosts, Noah, aka 51st Citizen, Kwaku Amp, and our guest we're now going to interview, Bitmap 313 on SoundCloud. Would you like to tell us, you talked about, of course, you are an electronic musician. Would you like to go into more detail about that and take it away?
Well, yeah, I would say I've been making music for probably around close to 10 or 11 years now.
Oh,
And the past couple of years, I've really been taking it a lot more seriously. And I started the Bitmap name about 2 years ago, just for what I would just say beat music with drums. Because for the longest time, I was working primarily doing ambient, drone, kind of weird music. But I had the itch to start making some stuff with drums again. And that's kind of how the whole Bitmap thing came around.
what era of electronic music would you say you derive a lot of your influence from? It seems like there's breakbeat hardcore influence? Anything else that, maybe comes up?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, first of all, just being from Detroit, techno is a huge influence on me, even if it might not necessarily seem like it from my music. Uh, growing up listening to all the stuff that's been put out by Detroit artists, like in particular Derek May is one of my big influences. And then I sort of got into music like Aphex Twin. Funny story. I was probably around 9 or 10 years old listening to Linkin Park's remix album, Reanimation. Their remix album of their album Hybrid Theory, and a friend of mine told me that it sounded like Aphex Twin, some of the tracks on there. And so I looked that up on my, super slow internet, and sort of was my gateway into like IDM music, if you want to call it that. But definitely stuff like Warp Records, Autechre, Square Pusher. That's probably my biggest influence musically. And then, like you were saying, with the breakbeat hardcore, definitely a lot of stuff, early 90s rave, jungle, stuff like that are really big influences on me at the moment.
I feel, too, with this music you have, part of the old school vibe also comes from the aesthetics of it. Is it fair to classify you as like primarily dealing in the realm of Y2K aesthetic?
Yeah, I would definitely say that the whole Y2K aesthetic thing is a big influence on me. It's an era that I lived through, and it's kind of nostalgic for me, but bringing it full circle into my creative output now, I guess.
To ask a bit of a caveman question, how do you describe what a bitmap is exactly? And how is that significant to you?
Bitmap is kind of like, it's a file format. Just kind of, I started doing graphic design maybe about 5 or 6 years ago. And, stuff like pixel art and that kind of stuff was really interested in me. And like bitmap fonts and things like that. Anything that you can make a picture out of like a very small single bit. I kind of like that visual style, and it definitely reminds me a lot of old rave videos. So that's kind of how the name came about.
It's like the earliest memory you have of something in media or otherwise that you can remember that's influenced your design philosophy or your music too, in terms of like at like what age. I mean, I guess you talked a little bit about, finding Aphex Twins, and that was kind of your first exploration into electronic music. But is there like any early memories, like media that you consumed as a kid that you feel like influences you musically or artistically?
It's a tough one. I guess kind of, the movies that came out when I was a kid, like Clock Stoppers and things like that. This like futuristic, that Y2K vibe.
Kind of reminds me of just the concept reminds me of Minutemen. It was like this movie on Disney Channel, I think in the 2000s or something. But they don't stop time to go
Oh,
back in time.
Minutemen. Yeah, I was just thinking of that when you said Clock Stoppers. The first thing that came into my head was Minutemen, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
wait, it's a
I
different
still
song.
remember the Corbin Blue song. It's like, nah, nah, take it back, nah, 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 still going back again. It's just, it's in my mind right now.
Disney
Yeah.
Channel used to have a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah. What are
Every
they
time
even
I think
showing?
about those, I think of that movie. What is it? The 13th Year.
What was that again?
He's like part dolphin or mermaid or something.
Oh yeah, that shit was so. Oh okay, yeah, I remember that. Yeah. That 13th
It's
year.
so campy.
Yeah, and also on the topic of weird 2000s media, I think Spike deserves a mention here as well. Definitely some of the monster designs when I first saw that movie as a kid were definitely very freaky.
Yeah, Spy Kids is a weird movie. It's definitely still got that Robert Rodriguez style to it, though.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I kind of associate it with like Shark Boy and Lava Girl, which is, looking back on it, a really crazy film. But yeah, I don't know. That's something I feel like is kind of deeply etched into the memory of a lot of people who grew up and saw it, even if they only saw it once or twice.
Spy Kids monsters.
Yeah.
That's genuinely disturbing.
That's drip though. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's like some runway, avant-garde type shit.
Yeah,
When the whole crew coordinates their stuff together.
Yeah. I'm about to take that look, the dude with the jester hat, the taller one.
Goey swag.
Go style. Okay, I'm going to appropriate this type of clothing.
You honestly could do it with all the crazy like is that dude on Instagram a fake Gucci watch? Like, yeah, you could definitely.
Yeah. I'm gonna be the Virgil Abloh of just crazy designs.
Yeah.
Hey, let me
Quark
take that off your hands,
starts
bro.
dressing like a jester.
To get back to your music and stuff, Bitmap, have you collaborated with any other artists, or at this point has it been mostly a solo effort for you?
I've had a few collaborations now and then. I definitely tend to make more music by myself, but I've recently been working with this producer, Tulsi, who's got some really cool stuff. We've done 2 tracks together so far, and I think our styles really mesh well.
It's nice. How did you get in touch with Tulsi, and like what kind of music do they make?
I think we just kind of connected on Twitter originally. Right now, he's making a lot of minimal techno and type stuff. But the tracks we've worked on so far kind of have had a breakbeat influenced hip hop kind of vibe.
Are there like certain go-to sample packs, like the 0G data file or something like that for you?
Oh yeah, the data files are a good pack. Definitely, those early sample CDs are hard to find online, but they have some gold in them. Really kind of fun listening to older tracks and just hearing the samples that you know from particular CDs.
Yeah, definitely. There's this VST, and unfortunately, it's only 32-bit and only runs on Windows. But it's called Emu Proteus, and it is like absolutely full. I wish somebody would port these samples over to, like a modern plugin or something like that. Just the design itself is like so early 2000s, and it has all these great like dance rap samples. Just a lot of really, really good stuff. I've used it on some of my music. Unfortunately, my computer died on me, so I've been using a Mac, and I've had to get the 64-bit, unfortunately, which is not compatible with Emu Proteus. But I've been using the Roland Cloud, which I don't know if you have that or not, but that's great.
I haven't heard of either of those, but I'm definitely gonna give that Proteus a good checkout. That sounds cool. Emu, a lot of their older stuff, the sampling keyboards are definitely cool. A really interesting sound. That crunchy 10-bit sound.
Yeah. Well, they had the famous is it Shakuhachi? I'm not sure if I'm.
Yeah, the Shakuhachi patch. I've definitely heard that in some songs.
George Clanton. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he recently used that sound in his collaboration with the dude from 311 on a track they did.
Oh wow. No, I haven't heard that track, but I am familiar with George Clanton and his Aspirate stuff.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
Yeah, I feel like his new album definitely is on a similar vibe to kind of what you do.
I haven't checked it out yet. I'll have to give it a listen. Doesn't he run? I think there was a really big show that they put together or something.
Electronicon?
Yeah, 100% Electronica.
It's pretty wild that he just, one day decided, all these vaporwave producers that are notoriously like enigmatic and elusive and don't really go out in public and do things anymore. How about we just get them all to appear in one place and do a show? And like it just worked,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Bitmap, I'm curious, when you started out, where were you like mostly? What was like your community? Were you on SoundCloud or Reddit, or how was that in the beginning, getting your music and art out there?
Well, yeah, I would say SoundCloud was probably the first website where I developed any sense of community or following. Yeah, I think it's a good platform for people. I heard that they've recently reduced the amount of audio you can have uploaded if you don't have a pro account, which I think is kind of whack.
Oh, yeah, and they got rid of groups like a couple years ago. That was wacky.
Oh yeah. I never got too big into the groups, but
Oh, I came just in time for the groups, and I noticed how, like, if I were to share a track there, instant engagement. You actually have real people commenting, giving like tips and stuff. But now, they're like, well, we have recommended playlists that auto generate, and you can get more traction from that. So we're just gonna get rid of groups. It didn't make any sense. So I think the platform's dying because of that.
Yeah, it's really not a good substitute at all for the community that you can get from actually interacting with people versus just listening to their stuff and throwing a like on it and maybe sending them a message and maybe having them respond.
I definitely think SoundCloud is on its way out, maybe. Also, I use Bandcamp also for all my Bitmap
Yeah,
stuff,
Bandcamp
and
is
I think it's a great site. I just wish it had more of a social engagement aspect to it.
Well, they're making developments
sure.
to it. So yeah,
And I
I'm
guess-
hopeful for Bandcamp.
Yeah, and I guess like for that reason, I guess a lot of people do this sort of two-pronged attack where they have, a SoundCloud or a YouTube plus a Bandcamp, and it kind of has that yin and yang. One is the more socially interactive, and you can, get other people recommended to you and that sort of thing, and the other one is more for the downloading and business aspect and organizing all your catalog.
Definitely.
Bitmap, would you like to talk a little bit on Crime Gene, the project you've done with a friend of yours?
Crime Gene is a clothing company founded by my good friend Drip133. We got a few other people. We have O3 and we have DJ Problem Child. We share the design, duties back and forth, and we've had a few guests do designs for us. It's just kind of if we think looks cool on a shirt. We're planning on putting some stickers out. We've got hoodies. Definitely something to look out for, I think, because a lot of people are getting into it.
Yeah. I like, in particular, the design of the website. Like, very much, I don't know. I can get behind any web design that's not just like this stupid, flat, minimalist stuff all these companies are doing nowadays. So anything that's not that, I can immediately get behind. But this in particular, like with the silver brick wall and the things you drag around, like It's just got a fun feeling to it.
Have you drawn on it?
No, can you
Because
draw
it's
on
like
it?
a
You can
I've been
draw it,
using
bro?
it.
yeah, it's like a
I've been
little
using it on
graffiti
mobile, so
wall.
Yeah, let me check this
let
out.
me see if it can. Gotta experiment with that
Whoa,
now.
that's pretty cool.
Who is in charge of like the web design duties?
That would be Drip.
Gotcha.
Yo, you can draw with it on mobile. That's pretty sick. You can even move the bone around. Oh my goodness, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's fully interactive.
That's
Amazing.
We're
sick.
going for.
Oh, you can. Oh yeah, you can move everything. Nice.
Haven't even checked the chat tab yet.
Chat is not too active. I wish it were more.
Is it like an IRC type thing or?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah.
I really like the vibe of it. Gives off like this early, or I guess late 90s, like
GeoCity.
underground skater / hacker kind of vibe. I'm guessing that was kind of what you were going for.
Yeah, those are all things we're definitely into. Sort of the skater raver, graffiti culture kind of.
Web design is just really cool. You know,
Thank you.
moving around
Yeah.
the logo.
I didn't really have too much to do with it, but I am really happy with it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's the project you're part of, so it's take pride in it, bro. It's really dope. You guys should have like mini games on this. Like,
That's
you
actually a
yourself, like,
really good
block to
idea.
block or something like on the brick wall. Yeah.
Yeah, have it be like WarioWare.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a great game.
Another component of this is like early 2000s Flash games and Flash media.
Yeah, the Newgrounds days.
Oh, yeah.
Oh shit.
Like a lot of that stuff, it was made first and foremost for fun, where I feel like now, the interaction on a lot of websites is so sterile and flat, like Noah said. Actually, a friend of ours who sadly couldn't make it today, 990X, he was talking to me in the DMs how he hates this whole like flat design trend. I'm like, yeah, me too, brother.
Yeah, to the point where I think there's this real longing in some circles anyways for like that very kitschy, yucky 90s HTML type look where you have like a tile background that sort of looks smooth but not really, and then just like Times New Roman text all over it, and it's like it has a sort of a warm, comfy feel to it.
Yeah.
That sort of website, right? And even if you don't, there's something endearing to it. And obviously, some of those websites are really, really bad, and they're either an eyesore or just not good. But in general, I like seeing stuff that sort of like pays playful tribute to those sorts of ideas.
Bring back the GeoCities aesthetic, bro.
Yeah, the GeoCities era.
Sure.
Speaking of like this kind of comfy early computer aesthetic, like early versions of Windows and like Macintosh just have this very cozy kind of vibe to it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The real early Macs, like the 80s, that definitely kind of like the white brick wall you've got on the site definitely gives me that vibe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
I'm a big
Like-
fan of those icons, like the little Mac icon.
Yeah, I mean, they put so much detail in something while also utilizing the limitations to their benefit. Whereas I feel like, there's a temptation nowadays to just make something as simple and effective as possible. And while that's nice, it does add something to or say something about the designers when you see just that extra level of detail present in their work.
Yeah, there's a lot of people doing a lot of very minimal stuff, I would say. Very popular right now.
Yeah.
But I feel
And
like
I don't just like hate on all of it, but it's hard.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that people are doing that I think is cool. Personally, I'm just really into stuff that looks chunky and kind of grimy.
Yeah.
Another important aspect here, and you were talking about this with me on Instagram, was the like ghetto cartoon character portraits from like the mid 2000s.
Oh yeah. Like you're talking about like that t-shirt with Bart Simpson and Popeye and Bugs Bunny and Mario. And they're all kind of swagged out.
Yeah.
And it just says I am legend.
Yo. The
So
classic
ridiculous.
SpongeBob with his golden chain.
Yo, yeah. Golden chain is
yeah.
a green mafia hat.
Yes. It's a picture you can
Classic.
smell.
For real.
It's a picture that's etched into my brain.
Bugs Bunny.
There's something like it's like a knockoff or like cheap, you know, taking these motifs of pop culture and remixing them in this very unusual way. The like unexpected crossover type vibe, and it's definitely like I felt like it was really prevalent, but nobody talked about it, and that's the interesting thing is to see people recognizing these design trends now and bringing them back in new ways.
Yeah, because when they're
Definitely.
happening, it feels like, oh, it's just been this way forever, but it really hasn't.
I definitely remember t-shirts like that being popular, especially like the Looney Tunes in particular, like Taz and Bugs Bunny, those t-shirts where they're all kind of swagged out with the chains. That was a popular thing back in the day.
Yeah.
And I feel like nowadays people are kind of appreciating it more.
I think the first time you really started to see this imagery being revived in a big way was with the SoundCloud rap scene.
Yeah, definitely. I think part of that is just like almost the throwaway culture of t-shirts like this. Like these are things you find at the thrift store nowadays. It's definitely like an underground thing. I mean, there's a lot of people who go to thrift stores and buy their outfits there. But definitely among certain communities like the SoundCloud hip hop type thing, I feel like they were kind of the first people to really get into it.
I feel like the 2010s have been dominated by a lot of like minimalism and kind of the hipster aesthetic, which this whole like vibe you're talking about is so much the opposite of it. And I think it's kind of refreshing to see it now because it's been out of the popular conscious for so long. There's something refreshing about seeing that chunky, kind of ugly style you're talking about. What I think Crime Gene does really well is they bring that in, but they also keep it very clean and kind of this it's got this futuristic, techie vibe going on too, which definitely makes for interesting contrast.
Yeah, I would hope that most people who are wearing Crime Gene are pairing it with something that is both equally futuristic but at the same time completely goofy. Like
Yeah.
Jinko jeans, for example.
These weird anachronistic type pairings.
As to what you were saying about how like stuff like this is almost considered uncool, or has been for a long time, I guess. It's just like I'm the type of person who will wear Linkin Park and corn t-shirts, and I don't care. I just think it's cool. And I'm glad that more people are like kind of putting that back into fashion and, not being afraid to show off what they like as a guilty pleasure.
I just posted photo from Codename Kids Next Door. I feel like that is definitely also very influential for like the early 2000s like style.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I used to
yeah.
love that show.
Yeah.
I remember watching this show, but I don't remember a lot of stuff from it. I feel like that's a lot of shows I watched as a kid, but yeah.
They were kind of like these like kids that were, I guess, spies, and they lived in this big tree house. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, before we kind of wrap things up, Bitmap, I'm curious, are there artists you're looking to work with in the future, whether they're big name or small artists? Are there any names that come to mind?
Well, I don't know. I'm definitely looking forward to making more stuff with my friend Tulsi. More collabs in the future with him, and I recently have become aware of this group DVD City, and they're local here in Detroit. They do music and visuals and all kinds of stuff, and they've got a lot of cool stuff. I'd like to work with them. Me and my friend Drip133, who I do Crime Gene with, we actually are about to put out a DVD with them of some DJ mixes that we did with their visuals, and it's gonna be really cool.
Are you into like the whole skater thing as well?
Oh yeah, I'm a skater. I wouldn't say I'm a very good skater, but it's something that I'm into.
Yeah. I feel like those like early late 90s skater videos with like the wide angle lens and all that stuff, I feel like that's really important to this whole aesthetic we've been talking about.
Oh yeah, definitely some ones that I can recall being a big influence on me were Enjoy's video Bag of Suck and the Blind video, a lot of Alien Workshop videos. That stuff is really cool.
We
Are there any
covered a
like
lot of good
designs you're
information.
working on right now for your clothing? Like some like new concepts?
Yeah, I've got a couple in the works. Nothing I can really talk too much about because we gotta keep the whole Crime Gene thing very secretive until it comes out. But
I feel that.
I'm
Yeah,
working
sure.
on some characters.
Characters. Oh.
Characters are always good. Well, maybe not always, but usually.
Well, it's been fun. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for joining us, Bitmap. Hopefully, we can do more stuff in the future, maybe even collaborations. Would you like to shout out your social media and all that so folks at home can give you a follow?
Well, my Twitter is bitmap313. Same for SoundCloud and Instagram. I'm looking to start more of a YouTube presence because I know that that's definitely where a lot of people are finding stuff lately. But yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Appreciate talking to y'all.
That concludes another World Movers Media podcast. We look forward to seeing y'all next week. Thank you.